Welcome to What's Your Opinion podcast. I'm Kyle, sitting here with my co-host Keith, and we're going to tell you in our first episode what we're about and why we're going to be doing this podcast. A lot of crazy things going on in the world today. A lot of people sitting on the left and the right side, and there's a lot of people like us that are just kind of in between and don't really know, and we're kind of wondering what everyone's opinion is and trying to figure out the extreme sides of things. You know, you get those people that want to light cars on fire, get in everyone's faces, and I'm just kind of curious, and I'd like to see what brings people to that kind of point. You know, what's on their mind as they're doing these kinds of things, and what draws them to those things.
And as far as I go, my family, very, very divided when it comes to two different topics. So I've always been caught in the middle of that, and that's what really interests me when it comes to stuff like this. So I'm really looking forward to talking with Kyle about several different controversies and interviewing people from both sides of the spectrum, just so that we could learn, and that's about it. So right off the bat, I think we're just going to kind of sit here and bullshit for the first episode, just so you can get a feel for us. First one, we can kind of talk about, I guess, the most extreme people we've come across. How do you feel about that?
I like it. Personally, I haven't come across too many people that are too extreme. It's mostly what I just see online. I'm not too interested in politics and going to see the politics. I don't really put too much effort into following it, but it's pretty easy these days just to come across a lot of stuff that,
for sure,
it's pretty shocking sometimes, you know, when you see what people are doing out there for some stuff.
I always see crazy people on Facebook, and I call them crazy just because some of the stuff they post is borderline, like, why would you post that for everybody to see? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the inspiration I get as well comes from crazy stuff I see on Facebook.
I'm sure we all have plenty of relatives that shock us with the things that they're willing to put on Facebook. I know my uncle's pretty crazy with a lot of his opinions. I'd actually love to talk to him because I've never actually sat down and said, hey, where did these come from?
Yeah.
You know?
That's another thing. So instead of just, you know, commenting like you're absolutely wrong, you could actually message him up on Facebook, be like, hey, come talk to us.
Exactly.
Explain your side. Explain why you are posting these things and why you believe this. So, for example, there was this kid that my sister went to high school with, right? Mm-hmm. I can't remember his name, but I always knew him as a pretty weird kid in school. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I graduated, he started posting all this stuff on Facebook, like super far left, super Democrat. And, of course, that's completely fine. But, you know, I'm the type of person that when I see a picture, I like to go and research it. Yeah. Just because I want to know if something's true on Facebook, because, you know, clearly on Facebook, not everything is.
Exactly. You got to take everything with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. And so I've never been the person to comment on people's political or controversial stuff on Facebook. Mm-hmm. But I did this one time, completely unfriended me, and I totally hate myself for it, because I finally cracked and I was like, why would you do this? I was like, this is totally wrong information that you just tagged because, you know, you wanted to. You didn't even look up the facts behind it. But I finally broke down and did it. Completely regret it now. But now I'm kind of like, hey, why don't we talk to this kid?
Exactly. Most of the time I just ignore them. You know, over the last probably 6 months or a year, I've gone through Facebook a lot and just decided to start either unfriending people or unfollow them because I don't want to see it anymore. And it's just because it got too annoying. And I'm someone that I have a hard time just not saying something to someone's face of like, hey, so tell me about this. And a lot of people don't like that. They don't like it. Even if my intent is not to change your mind, it's to understand. Occasionally, everyone does it. You'll call someone stupid. I've done it plenty of times.
And as we said, it's probably going to happen. Like, we're pretty open, we're pretty unbiased, but, you know, when it comes to stuff like flat Earth and stuff like that, we're probably just going to look at you and call you stupid. We're sorry, but we're pretty biased about that part, at least.
When I was telling you about the people that you see on Facebook and stuff, this was the lady I was talking about.
Yeah,
the trigger lady.
The trigger
with the giant eyes. And the veins popping out of her neck. That lady gets me every time. And when I see a lot of this stuff on Facebook, that image just pops in my head right away.
I don't even know where that came from. Like, what was
going on in the situation? Yeah. I have no idea. I would love to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
I should probably spend some time on that, because this is the exact image I go to every single time when I hear people freaking out about this or that or whatever's bothering them.
Which, to go and say, we don't want to trigger anybody on the show. if it happens, we're sorry, but we definitely don't want to. But this is exactly how we're going to imagine the person. As soon as
Someone's just revving up like Dragon Ball Z.
What were you saying?
Back in the day, it was so weird because the old people were the ones that were trying to shut everything down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do
Yeah.
that, don't listen to that kind of music. They were the ones that were raising the fist, and they're like, "You guys need to stop this stuff." You know?
Yeah.
But then nowadays, you get people like this triggered girl. You know,
Yeah.
she's 25 years old and has a problem with
Other people,
absolutely everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have 4 bathrooms that can accommodate everyone. You call him, and it's actually a her, and you know, it's a big issue when simply most of the time you just don't know. You know, the gender thing is pretty confusing to me sometimes when people get that upset. Where it's like, look, man, I just don't.
We just don't
know. Like, unless you wear a sign that says, "You call me her," I have no idea.
And again, that's going to bring us to like, well, now when you meet somebody, you don't just walk up to somebody and ask what you want them to call you. You know what I mean? But if they told me, like if they flat out told me, or if, like they got tired of me calling, you know, him or her,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just like, hey, I want you to call me this instead, I would look at them and I'd be like, all right, I will try my best to do that for you. But if I don't by mistake, don't be offended, because it's just natural. You know what I mean?
The same thing happens when you meet someone new and you say their name wrong. There's a girl I work with.
Definitely.
4 or 5 times in a row, I said her name wrong. Didn't really bother me or too much. By the 3rd or 4th time, she was getting a little frustrated. But you know, we get along just fine at work. And it hasn't been a problem because I also figured out what her name was finally.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that would be an issue in societies if people actually took legit offense. I mean, if you intentionally do it just to be an asshole, then, you know, that's something to fight about. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
That's not something that you should be like, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. Whatever. But I think that's going to be an issue. Is people who take it that seriously. And it's something to be taken seriously, of course, but...
with names or genders? Or
With genders.
Genders,
With
yeah.
genders. Like,
well, people are taking it that serious these days.
Yeah, I agree. It
And
should be
then-
taken seriously, but you can't just say... Or you can't just expect everybody to follow through
No.
all immediately.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not being an asshole by saying that. I'm just stating that, you know, I'll try my hardest to accommodate what you want me to. But if by mistake I mess it up, then, you know...
And the gender thing is, it's something new that's happened, I'd say, the last 5 years. It's really gotten pretty crazy and extreme with, hi, what's your name? What's your pronoun? You know, that kind of thing.
What's your pronouns, yeah.
That stuff's gotten pretty crazy in the last 5 years. And, you know, for a lot of us, it's totally new. You know, it's totally new depending on who you are, where you were born, where you've lived. I know I've lived in a lot of different places. I've lived in California, I've lived in Nevada, I've lived in Washington, I've lived in North Carolina. I've kind of been all over the place and seen all kinds of different people and never really ran into stuff like that, you know, but you see it on the internet and people are gathering together and they're throwing up fights and it's crazy. You know, I think, I don't remember if it was MySpace or Facebook, but it was the first time when I was in high school, I saw a thing that said, it was for your gender or your sex or something like that, and it said, man, woman, I don't know. And it was, I mean, that was like 10 years ago, you know? Mm-hmm. And all of us, all my friends, everyone in the school was laughing. They're like, what do you mean I don't know? Does that mean you're a stove or a fridge? None of us had any idea what any of this stuff was about. And then cut to now, I mean, this trigger girl would probably cut your throat open.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If you didn't say they or Zim or Zer or whatever they prefer to be called.
Mm-hmm. Which, you're right, I totally forgot about that. People want you to call them like Zim or Zer. That's
the pronoun thing. There's like 50 of them. Yeah.
Wow. See, I can't just automatically change myself like super fast like that.
You mean change like what you think, or
no? Change like the way I would communicate with that person. My way of thinking is pretty, you know, I'm pretty tolerant of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm pretty okay with that stuff. But when you say, hey, I want you to call me Zimmers or you know, other pronouns I've never even heard of, then that's where it's going to be difficult for me to actually communicate with you and not offend you every 5 minutes because I refer to you incorrectly with stuff that I've never heard of before. And do you think it has something to do with like what people are learning in college nowadays? Because when I watch people talk all the time about the Western societies and about how there's multiple genders in non-Western societies, I never learned about anything like that. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot of languages that also don't cover different pronouns. Like if you're talking in Spanish, it is simply him and her. I have yet to hear anything about anything happening in any culture that speaks Spanish. I don't know. It might come. I don't know. But I'm looking at a list right now of different types of pronouns that are gender neutral or gender exclusive. And I'm looking at 30 right now.
Give me 5.
Z, se, ve, te, e.
E?
And those are all just he and she.
Wow. E?
Yeah.
And those are gender neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So
or exclusive. So those are he, she. His, her would be zer, her, ihr, vis, tem. And I gotta let you guys know, I could be totally butchering these, and I'm so sorry. I've never heard them before. Well, I mean, I've heard them a few times here and there, but I've never actually looked at a list and said, this is what this is. So I also don't have the YouTube video of how do you pronounce these things. But there's a lot of them, you know. So it's something that I'm not going to be able to memorize all these, and unless someone just tells anyone right away, what are you supposed to do about it?
Z-self, herself, except with H-I-R. Yourself? I'm going to be butchering these two, I swear. Verself, herself, himself. Now, question. So these are also gender exclusive, right? I don't get it. I don't see. I'm simply too uneducated. I don't understand. Like, why does there have to be different? Why is there Z, C, A, they, or V, te, and E? Why can't it just be one for people who don't have a gender?
I have no
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody, if we
it would make it a lot less
about,
complicated.
It would make it a lot less complicated. But if we could talk to somebody about this and explain that'd be great.
It would be.
I would understand.
Because I'd love to understand that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just like, why is there so many pronouns? And then, can the pronouns keep going? What if somebody's like,
there's fluid gender, where, and I think it might be different than this, and I'm not sure, where you can bounce between male and female, but I don't know if there's a thing as fluid pronoun.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't.
So I don't know about that.
So if you're talking to me or something, and I say I'm fluid, would I introduce myself as like fluid gender, or would I just say I'm a male? But the next time tomorrow, I'll be like, hey, refer to me as a female.
Yeah, and that would be fluid. So you go in between.
Okay, so
you could be eating breakfast as a man and having dinner as a woman.
I gotcha. Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to be a little bit.
It's very different. It's something that I struggle to understand. We all had those moments when we were kids. As me, I would say, I am man. Those moments where I wanted to play with the Barbies, and I played with the Barbies. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Played with my sister all the time.
Yeah.
That's how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the girliest thing I did as a child, or considered girliest thing, is an easy bake oven. But let's be honest, the easy bake oven was the shit. Let's be honest.
All right, you want to sit there and wait 2 hours for a cookie to burn, or not burn,
it
but
definitely
to cook.
burned. It definitely burned every time.
You burnt a cookie on a 60-watt light bulb?
Every time.
Oh my god. Where you're like, it'll be ready in the morning. Damn it, it's burned again.
I remember my mom used to tell me all the time that I was going to burn myself on it. But that's all I wanted. I wanted a trampoline and an easy bake oven. And I remember actually being made fun of for wanting an easy bake oven from other kids.
We all like to cook,
Yeah. See?
As I've gotten a little bit older, I've gotten a lot lazier.
Do you mind if I ask you, because I haven't even asked you this question yet, what differs between you and your wife's thinking of this? I haven't even asked you this yet.
My wife would say that I probably that I don't care enough. I feel like she would say that I probably don't care enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm definitely not educated enough on this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious. You know, everyone has their own opinions, and I think most opinions for people in my situation are based just off of, I've never come across this, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, I never grew up around this stuff either, so.
So none of my opinions are based on like legitimate facts. Mm-hmm. You know, my wife would tell you, and I can't argue with science. You know, we do argue a little bit differently on like what our thoughts are, but you can't argue with science. Yeah. Some men are born with that extra X or Y. I can't remember what it is right now, but they're born with that extra thing, and they actually are a woman, but they look like a man.
Oh, I got you.
So, and that does happen. And for those people, like, that really sucks.
Yeah,
you know?
That does.
You know, that really sucks because, like, the body knows, like, this shouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
And it is this way. So for those people...
That'd be really difficult.
You know, I can't relate to it. I don't understand it.
Definitely not.
But I would love to talk to someone and see how that is for them. You know, what are the struggles that they go through?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That'd be a good topic, too. God, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
But do you think that so like you said, your wife's views is more like science related stuff?
Yes, she's the very smart one in the relationship. It's not me. I'm not the brains of the operation. It is definitely her.
I got
brownie points right now, also.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you can't argue with science. You know, a lot of people will try to. I know I tried to the first time that me and my wife talked about this. And we butted some heads for a while, and then it was like, we're just not going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't understand. You know, I can talk to her about the science part, but like I really want to talk to someone, and any topic we cover, and anything that comes across the internet, and something that comes across your plate, and you don't understand it, like
help me understand
what's going on there. You know,
help us understand that. You know, some people when you talk about the two genders thing and the science behind it. I've watched enough stuff online, or I've read enough stuff online to know that, and I could be wrong here, so I won't say to know, but to at least think that I'm pretty sure that people are saying that sex is one thing and gender is another.
I've heard that as well.
So, sex would be probably the more science, like biologically related category, maybe, and then genders. And what I've read online is that people are saying gender is what the person feels.
Okay. So sex is what's between the legs?
Yes.
Gender is what's inside?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the gist I'm getting online, at least. Just from hearing people talk about it, hearing people debate about it, and
I mean, you really can't argue what someone feels on the inside.
Yeah, you really can't.
You really can't. Whatever someone feels on the inside is what they feel, and you can't tell them otherwise. However, with sex, you can see what's on the outside.
Oh, wow.
And that's that,
so,
I think.
In general terms, sex refers to biological differences between male and female, such as genitalia and genetic differences. Gender is more difficult to define, but it can refer to the role of a male or female in society, known as gender role, or an individual's concept of themselves or gender identity. Wow, so I guess they are different.
How that works.
I don't know. I don't want to insult anybody out there by saying that would be how that works, but I'm sure it's a lot deeper than that.
It's definitely deeper.
It's a lot deeper because when it comes to gender identity and stuff like that, people don't want to define themselves as...
So when it comes to gender identity, what's your opinion on that?
Gender identity. It doesn't bother me. Like, if you say, like, let's say I'm talking to you right now, and you're like... I met you for the first time. You very clearly look like a male. Mm-hmm. That's how I'm going to call you. He, himself, or whatever. All the pronouns for, he. And then you tell me that you are actually female. Or you could tell me that you don't define as either male or female. You know what I mean? I'd be like, what do you want me to call you?
Yeah.
You tell me those pronouns, but unfortunately I'm not knowledgeable enough to know what those pronouns would be. But... I would probably try my best to accommodate that. It's probably none of my business for me to say that you're wrong for feeling any way that you feel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now, when it gets into the legal aspect, I don't think it would bother me that much either, because people are talking about how it's important to know male or female, like on official forms and stuff like that.
Yeah. You ever watch the show Queer Eye?
I have not.
Since it came out on Netflix?
No, what's it about?
These 4 guys come to someone's life, and they completely revamp it. I mean, I was seeing people getting new kitchens, new living rooms, new wardrobes. They teach them about how to take care of their skin, all kinds of stuff, and like help them with their confidence and stuff. It's my wife showed me it. I love it. I believe there's 2 seasons up on Netflix right now. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. One episode, there was a guy who had just finished his post-op surgery, so he was a man, and it was a big thing for him to go to the DMV and finally hand in that paperwork and have his driver's license say male. I mean, it was a huge thing. It was one of the bigger things in the episode. It was really cool to see that, you know, he finally got what he wanted, was on paper, like you were saying, to finally have that in his life of, I'm a man and everyone call me a man. So he had gone to the DMV and tried to use documentation to prove that he was a man. However, without him having, I can't remember what the form was, but it was an extra form that he needed saying that he was, that he was post-op. Had the genitalia. So yeah, like I said, man, it was a huge moment for him. So I mean, I imagine it's that way for a lot of people.
Sorry we took a break. It might sound a little bit different now because we moved the mics around a little bit, so I might sound either a little bit louder or with a little bit less echo, we hope. But we had to take a break just to see how it sounded. So where we left off was when your friend finally getting that documentation to say that he was a male at the DMV, right?
It was just a dude on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the person. It was just a dude on the show. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see because like I've never seen that side of stuff.
If it was me, I would say that it would be a very important moment. I mean,
yeah.
If it was me. So I mean, but again, that doesn't really bother me too much, and I don't see why that would bother people. Yeah. I would like for someone to come on the show just to explain why that's such a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be the way things are. You know what I mean?
Probably doesn't bother us too because like it doesn't affect us.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that affects me. So that's why we're doing this podcast, because a lot of stuff doesn't affect us, but we're curious. You know, to the people Absolutely. That it does affect. Of, you know, tell me about this. Tell me what's going on with that.
I'm pretty sure that if I was going through something like that, I would also feel like I would want more people to be tolerable. Like obviously, I would want more people to be tolerable of it.
Oh, definitely.
The issue for me about this is, you know, when it gets into the medical side, clearly there's some things that whether or not you've had a surgery or you say you're a male when you're not, there are just natural biological differences that you can't get around, no matter the surgeries. You know what I mean?
Well, look at the dudes that are, well, I guess you could say now the females, but they once were a dude, and now they're going into the UFC, and they are just in wrestling, and they are dominating the sport. I mean, they're walking in first fight, destroying all kinds of records.
That definitely is that's a whole nother aspect of the controversy. But yeah, definitely look that up real quick. I want to see that. Because I just saw this recently online. This UFC guy who trans female. Mm-hmm. And he's been fighting and definitely kicking a lot of ass. Look it up real quick.
Fallon Fox?
That's him.
Yep. Or her. But that, I mean, you could totally tell that this was once a man.
I know where I saw him now.
You know, everything about this besides, those are definitely implants in the chest, which I know has to get done for male to female anyways. But, I mean, everything about this person looks like a man.
No,
I mean, there should be a line of, like, someone like this should not be allowed to come into a sport and just dominate people.
That's going to be the thing. It's like, well, I want to be a female, and I want to fight in the female MMA category. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do, and they're going to be like, you're infringing on my ability to do what I want to do. And unfortunately, I still can understand that, because, I mean, it's just kind of almost unfair at that point, because, again, biological differences that you just can't get rid of, you know, that you'll bring to the to that side of MMA.
Yeah, the bone structure, your muscle structure. I mean, that person was a man for a very long time, and that person had built that strength and speed for so long, and then all of a sudden was like, hey, I'm going to go female. And they might have felt that whole time also, but there should be a line where that can't be okay, you know, to come into these sports and just, she actually had a fight lined up with another fighter, and I can't find that fighter's name right now, but the fighter came out and said, hey, I turned down this fight. Everyone else needs to know that they're going to get hurt. This other fighter felt that it wasn't fair that Fox is coming in and just doing this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And she took quite a bit of backlash off of that just because she came out and said, like...
But she's being honest. And you're going to get backlash for whatever you do no matter what, but I kind of understand her side of it as well. It's like, because seriously, if I'm not that big of a dude, but if I knew it was like a completely kind of unfair fight at the same time, I wouldn't want to fight that person. I would just come out and say it. Like, this is why I don't want to fight that person.
Mm-hmm.
You guys could, sue me, whatever. But that's a big deal.
It really bugs me that I can't remember what the name of that girl was that came out and said that about Fox.
So I remember I saw him, actually. So on Facebook, there was a video, because you know how you scroll through Facebook and there's just random videos that people share? There was a video that was like 10 trans celebrities that you didn't know were trans. And, of course, I watched the video because they had some clickbait on it. They made it seem like, there was a celebrity that, Chanel West Coast, do you know who she is?
Yeah.
They made it seem like she was trans, like she was on the front of it. And
really?
I was like, there's no way.
I've seen those articles.
There's no way she's trans. And I watched the video all the way through, and it had him in it. It had the UFC fighter in it, and a couple of other models and stuff like that. But it went to the end, and Chanel West Coast is obviously not trans, but there's a guy that looks like a kid that looks just like her that's a boy, and so a rumor.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at that right now. Chaz Bono, who was that? Cher's kid?
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the first one, as I was growing up, that I ever heard of.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big one that was going on as we were growing up together.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk to somebody.
But yeah, that's definitely not Chanel West Coast.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
Laverne Cox at the top of the list. So 70 celebrities that are actually transgender. Laverne Cox, hot. Definitely hot. When I was watching Orange is the New Black, I was like, that chick's pretty hot. I had no idea.
Okay, so how would you feel, off topic, sorry, how would you feel if you were at a bar and then a woman approaches you and then, you have your night, whatever, and then
so we go home, we have
day,
some adult fun.
Yeah,
some consensual fun.
And then the next morning, she's like, hey, I'm a trans. I used to be a guy.
Well.
How would you go about that?
Obviously, I fell for it the first night. Clearly. There's the added bonus of she can't get pregnant. That's a big thing for me personally. I don't want kids. I'm going to go for it, If there was if there was a real thing there, everything was done pretty solid. If it was Laverne Cox, I'd probably have no problem with it.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Plus, they're like a dude, so they understand. Like maybe you just want to watch the game, maybe you just want to play video games, maybe stuff along those lines. But what was that one episode where these two guys who were really close friends, they just decided to start dating? There was like a movie or something, and they were like really close friends. And they're just like, why aren't we together, man? They're like, I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have to find it now.
Okay. Yeah, let's find this. Let's see what this is about. I'm looking more down this list to see if there's any other celebrities that if I woke up the next day and felt fine with, who I'd feel fine with. Who is Carmen Carrera?
Carmen Carrera?
Yeah.
That is a model, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a model.
Carmen Carrera was born in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, USA, as Christopher Roman. From the pictures I'm looking at, I am okay with this. I'm
okay. Yeah, I saw it already. I saw her.
If this pops up,
and this is one of those things like I can completely understand. That looks like a female.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That totally looks like a female.
That would be no issue for me to say. Even though if she said I'm a dude, I'd be more implicated to say, she, her, all that stuff than him and stuff. You know what I mean?
I'd more ask, are you lying?
Yeah, exactly. Are you lying? Yeah,
you're totally lying to me.
Hot. That's shocking. That's unbelievable.
But it's not these outliers that we're wondering about. It's the ones that, that you can't tell, and those are the ones that are getting super offended. Obviously, if you look at her, no one's questioning.
Nobody's questioning that
if that's a man at all. No one's got this on their mind.
Caitlyn Jenner. I feel like if we hadn't known her as Bruce Jenner, I totally would have bought it. That's
really?
a female. I swear. I swear,
I would think
if
that
I had
was
not known her
a chick that had some unfortunate circumstances.
You think so? She's brave. You can't tell me that doesn't look like a legitimate female.
I just thought of this. You know what kind of looks like?
Who does it look like?
Lisa Ann.
Oh my god!
Wait, hold. Just keep that up.
Oh my god! I didn't even think about that.
That picture right there, man.
That's hilarious. That's the first thing that comes to your mind, man.
That was.
Good god. Well, we're probably not going to have any viewers after this. Oh my god!
That is Lisa Ann's ugly sister.
Easily. Wow, that's unbelievable. I never made that connection before in my life. And now I can't watch Lisa Ann anymore. I hope you're happy.
No, I probably can't either. That's all right, though. She's more of a producer now anyways.
Really?
Yeah, she's got radio shows, podcasts. She mostly just produces these days, so the chances of you seeing a new Lisa Ann are a lot lower. However, there's always the classics.
Facts. But again, that's what we're here to, kind of discuss.
That's
we're
all
trying
right.
to discuss. Please educate us on what we're wrong about, please.
Yes.
Let us know where the boundaries are, where the boundaries should be in anything we talk about.
I'll probably keep crossing boundaries, though. It's all right.
Well, that's just naturally your personality. I'll try to help out.
But mostly I do have a lot of questions, and I want to understand. I'm not here to change anyone's mind and say, like,
so if we could get
you're wrong.
If we could get a trans person on the show, and if we can get somebody who doesn't, call themselves male or female on the show, I'd be completely happy with that.
I'd be super happy with
And again, it wouldn't be one of those things where we're making fun of the person. We're not trying to make fun of them.
No, I really just want to understand, like, how they feel,
understand
and
what
like when
they
they started
deal with.
feeling like that. Yeah, what do they go through on a daily basis?
Like,
When they
what's
wake
the
up,
normal day
what do
like?
they feel when they wake up,
How hard is dating?
Yeah,
That'd be
that's a big
one.
thing. There's one thing I did hear of some of the newly post-op females. They have a problem with someone wanting a woman and not wanting a transgender woman, if I'm saying that correctly.
No, you're right. That's why I asked you if,
So someone that's not looking for, like, that fetish, someone that's
Yeah.
just literally looking for a woman, And I had actually never thought of that until, like, a week ago when I first heard it. I was like, oh, I never thought of that. But for them, like, they are a woman, and, like, that's that. It's nothing else.
That's why I asked you what would it be like if you went to a bar and then you ran into that problem. How would you deal with it? But if you what if you got approached immediately to your face and they were like, by the way, I'm trans, but I'm interested in you. Would that change the situation?
Depends on how that looks.
Really?
Yeah.
You've already committed and you've already been through it
I think
all.
for something like that, honestly, it would come down to... are you talking about I met someone online and we had conversations and I was like, man, this person's awesome.
We'll do the normal, like you met them at a bar, you've been talking all night thing.
Met him at a bar, talking all night.
And they're like, all right, well, let's go back to your place, but I'll be honest with you, I am a trans woman.
If there was an obvious, like, attraction, I think it would have to go with... This is going to sound bad, but, like, how'd that first night together go?
I gotcha.
I've never been with that kind of person before, so I don't know...
Well, at least
how,
you're like...
I know how everything should feel.
Yeah.
So, like...
And again, we're not
how
trying to
does
trigger
this
anybody
feel?
by saying that, but
Yeah.
it's very honest. Like, would it feel the same?
Yeah. Michael Phelps dated a trans woman.
No way.
Yeah, during, like, the height of his thing. The girl he was with was trans.
I had no idea.
Yeah, she's got a book out and stuff. How would you react if you came to a bar?
So, if it's me, and again, we'll go back to the, everything's already happened. We had our adult fun and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, she tells me that she's trans. I don't know how I'd react to being told that. I probably would be like, no. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. And I'd probably be in denial about the whole thing. And then, after a while of thinking, to be honest with you, just because of how, the friends I have and stuff, I probably wouldn't tell a single soul.
No?
I would not tell I wouldn't tell a single buddy of mine that,
No, come on.
Maybe my closest friend. And then again, even then, that's I don't know why, but that's like just a societal thing to be kind of like, you would want to not tell people. I mean, me at least.
No, it is. Yeah.
So, I probably wouldn't want to tell anybody, but that's just me being honest. And I'm pretty sure nobody should nobody should crucify me for that either, because anybody who's possibly listening probably thinks the same thing. They wouldn't want to tell people. But if she was like upfront and honest, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be into a trans woman. Mm-hmm. But again,
it's not something I'm going to go search for. It's not
sure.
something. It's not a fetish of mine or something.
Okay, that woman you showed me, what's her name? What's the very, very attractive woman that's trans? Carmen Carmen Crivera or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
The model?
Yeah. Woo! If she approached me and she was like, I'm trans, let's go out, I'd be 100% down.
So this is, she actually did an adult film. Her name's Taylor Chandler. This is who Michael Phelps dated.
What?
Yeah.
Taylor Chandler?
Yeah, Taylor Chandler.
Oh, wow. Well,
And the really funny part, when she did her her adult video, it was, of course...
Michael. Some dude playing Michael Phelps.
It was swim team related. You know, you got him right there with all his medals around his neck and stuff.
And so you're telling me that's a dude right there?
No. Post-op.
Yeah, post-op, which means that it was a trans. It's a trans woman.
Yes,
that's a trans woman. Gosh, I'm not gonna lie. I'm curious. I'm definitely not gonna lie. I'm curious. I would probably watch that video just to see what it looks like.
I don't think I ever watched it, but
I definitely have not watched.
I'll probably check it out. You know.
Oh yeah, probably after this when everybody's asleep and gone already.
My wife's still out of town. I'm good to go.
You have 1 day left.
I do. I got 1 day left.
But yeah, those are just great examples of what we could use to, bring people on the show and actually talk. Because I'm pretty sure, like I said, 1,000 times during this, that we're probably bothering people with just the stuff we're talking about. But we're just being honest, and we're being upfront about being ignorant about certain topics. And
a lot of the things that might bother people is just us not knowing. And of course, we're going to laugh about it because we just don't know. Do I care that Michael Phelps dated that chick?
Definitely not.
Not at all.
No. It's just one of those things honest about.
Mm-hmm.
And please, if anybody could make comments or get on the show and tell us like how are we wrong? Where did we like I said earlier? How did we cross the line? And what should we refrain from just being upfront about? 9 times out of 10, we're probably going to continue crossing that line, but kind of by mistake. But again, we're curious to hear where you get offended at. You know what I mean?
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our first episode of WYO Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at WYO Podcast. Hit us with your questions, comments, anything. We love to talk to everyone that's got some opinions on some of the stuff.
Next episode is going to be about what if Donald Trump said the N-word, and our friend Alex is going to be joining us for that interview. So please stay tuned for it. Join us next time. Thanks. Have a good one.